Hey everyone, my name is Josh, and this is part 10 of the Cedar Strip kayak build. In the last video, we worked on the cockpit combing and the access hatches on the boats. In this video, we will be working on a lot of small things on the inside of the boat, and a lot more. Now, you might be wondering why I postponed this video by a week. Well, there were a couple reasons, but the main one is I wanted this video to feel more complete, like a milestone video, instead of like a cliffhanger. So that's why I added that's why this video contains 3 weeks of 3 weeks worth of work versus the last couple of videos, which were each about 2 weeks worth. Now, we will start with making a small wooden block that will be the resting point for the rudder of the boat once we install that, so that when it comes out of the water and sits on top of the boat, then it has somewhere to sit so that it won't damage the boat, I guess. And after that, we can lay out the tubes for the control cables that'll control the angle of turning and also the up and down motion of the rudder. Then we can work on the applying special varnish that will protect the epoxy resin from ultraviolet light. Because when epoxy resin is exposed to UV light, then it often will become brittle and more susceptible to damage. So by applying a couple coats of this varnish, then we can protect the epoxy resin. Once that's done, we can fit the two halves of the boat together and hold it together using some tape that'll make sure that there are no gaps in the seam between the two boats. And we will be ready to stick the two halves together, which is a huge milestone for this project. Because now, instead of working on the top half and the bottom half separately, we'll be working on the entire boat as a whole. Now, when we were starting out on the working on more stuff on the inside of the boat, then one of the things we do is we pour some epoxy resin into the ends of the boat so that we have somewhere to make sure that they have a solid connection between the top and bottom half. So that also contains special I don't remember what it's called, some kind of silicone powder that can be mixed into the epoxy resin. And we learned the hard way that if you don't make sure that the room is temperature controlled, then catastrophes could happen, like this. Well, that was a waste of epoxy.
Right. Yes, it was.
Yep. It is now smoking.
Yep.
Yes, so it seems that the garage was a bit too warm at the time, so the reaction happened faster, causing the epoxy resin to cure faster, and because it's an exothermic reaction, it let out a lot more heat a lot faster. And so it actually caused the epoxy resin to solidify really fast, as well as start smoking, and it melted part of the plastic cup that was holding it. So that was an experience. Now, if you missed any of our previous videos in this project, the link to the full playlist will be in the description below, as well as on the screen at the end of the video. Now, without further ado, let's get to work. All right, so the next thing we can do is, now that the two halves are stuck together, we can make sure they stay together using a little strip of fiberglass cloth and some epoxy resin. Unfortunately, I accidentally deleted the footage from this, and I was unable to recover anything that we weren't able to recover anything that was really important footage for the video. So I'll just have to explain the process to you here. So essentially what we did was we had a long strip of fiberglass cloth that we laid on the inside of the boat, and then we had to coat the entire thing with, we had to coat the cloth with epoxy resin so that it formed a nice seal and held the two halves of the boat together. Now, you may be wondering, because the two halves are already stuck together, how are we going to get all the way to the ends of the boat? Well, that's why we have this. It is a long stick with the end of a paintbrush attached to the end, screwed to the end of it. So this way we can reach all the way down to the end of the boat and hit that with the epoxy resin as well. So that created a solid yeah, it stuck it together. Now, the deleting the footage wasn't the only eventful thing to happen that weekend, because then the following day, then I sustained a head wound, just a small gash on the top of my head. Had to go in to get 3 staples. So then that didn't really slow down the progress a lot. I just had to, just explaining why I'm wearing a hat in the next clip, because I had to protect the wound from epoxy resin dust and fiberglass dust, because that wouldn't help it heal well. But once, so we lost the footage of the fiberglass on the inside of the boat and most of the sanding around the outside of the boat to prepare it for the fiberglass cloth that will create the complete seal, complete seal, fusing the two halves of the boat together and ensuring that the seal is waterproof. So now in the next clip we will be continuing the sanding and just getting it ready for the fiberglass, which will go all the way down the bottom of the boat and a bit around the top, so that we have a complete seal around the boat, and we'll be working with only one boat now. Now, without further ado, let's get to work on that. So our can of epoxy resin just randomly ran out. It's now dry-ish. So Dad's just have to go get a new can of resin, and then we can get back to working on the fill coats. Alright, so we got a ton of work done in this video. We had a couple of small bumps and challenges, but it didn't hinder us too much from where we are now. In fact, I think we'll be able to finish the entire boat, the entire project, by the end of July. So that gives us less than a month to finish the rest of the project. I know I originally said October, but we've been working a lot faster and a lot harder than we had planned originally. So we are on schedule to, now that the epoxy and the final coat of fiberglass is done, we can do a ton of sanding to make sure it's extremely smooth, and then we can apply 9 or 10 more coats of that UV varnish, sand that a bit more, and then we can start small things like bungee cords and ropes. And at this point in the project, we actually could technically put the boats in the water because they're fully waterproofed now, but I think we'll save that for when the boats are finished. Then we'll have a little test segment. Now, the next part was of the project would be the boys got a little bit further than I did, but they started the sanding, and for me though, because that was all in one day, and on that day between work in the morning and grad stuff in the afternoon, I didn't really get much time to work on the boats. So I'm a bit further behind, but I'll be able to catch up in the next week or so. So that's what we'll start doing in the next couple videos, and I'd say we have probably less than 5. I'd say less than 2 or 3. I'd say we have 2 or 3 videos left in the entire project. And again, if you missed any of the videos previously in the series, the playlist link will be in the description below and on the video at the end on the screen. For now though, be sure to like this video and subscribe so the YouTube algorithm can do its thing and push it out to more people. And if you have any questions about the project, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.